talking about icons on Earth, to be quite honest with you, I thought, what more could a Star Wars nerd like me learn? And there was a lot more. First of all, like you said, it's evident how you everything's a narrative story. So, starting off the first episode with George Lucas was a boy, when the second episode, Marcia Lucas, sucked me in. And then there's so much more to learn. I couldn't even believe it.
Yes.
And along those lines, many, many episodes ago, we talked about Marcia Lucas, who's like this unsung hero of the Star Wars films. And I think you notice, Empire is one of my favorite films of all time, but Empire, then Jedi, you notice, and then the prequels, something changed, from Star Wars. How did you, but Marcia Lucas has been, not only is she sort of, Lucas is sometimes, maybe you don't want to say this, but not credited, that's not the right word, because I need a word for doing something bad, but essentially changing or writing her out of history. How did you get this woman who otherwise hasn't really participated in these documentaries to do an on-camera interview?
So basically, if you look at the credits of episode 6 of Icons on Earth, and you look at the credits of season 1 of Toys That Made Us, they're probably 60% the same, maybe 70%. So we've been in production for 6 years now straight, making shows like this.
Yeah.
So we have a great research team and we have a great casting director. And casting director, I hate that term in documentaries because this isn't really about casting. But anyway, she finds people. And the thing about making shows like this, now that we've been doing it for a while, who they are in the pecking order of Hollywood is almost 0% relevant as to if they will do our show or not. Sigourney Weaver for the Aliens episode couldn't have been easier. Getting the second AD of Aliens, we failed to get him. Yeah. So with Marcia, what happened was we were interviewing, and I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
It wasn't John Dykstra, but it was one of the ILM special effect guys. And I don't want to get it wrong. But it was one of them. It was one of them. And we had interviewed him before, like 3 or 4 times for other shows. So at the end of the interview, he's taking off his mic and he's like, hey, who's your white whale this time? And I'm like, well, of course, Marcia. Like, oh, I know Marcia. Who are you talking to? And we were like, oh, we're talking to the agent and the manager and da-da-da, but not the manager, but whatever, lawyer, whatever. He's like, no, you got to talk to so-and-so. We're like, who's so-and-so? He's like, doesn't matter. Here's her number.
Wow.
So
nice.
It took about 2 weeks of back and forth. And then one day I woke up, it was a Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I was scheduled to fly to New York that day at 3 p.m. And I woke up, I look at my phone and I have an email that says, Marcia has agreed to do it. She's available tomorrow and for the next 9 days. At 2:00, I was on a flight to Hawaii, which is where she was. Because with people like her, you don't fuck around.
No, right?
Yeah. I wanted her people to know.
Yeah.
We just booked a plane ticket.
Yep.
The plane just took off.
Right. No backing out.
You cancel now. There's
this is happening.
You're fucking someone over. So 6-hour interview. Literally 6 hours.
Wow.
I had like a U-shaped ring around my collar, soaking wet from tears. Was, and to your point, this is not an opinion, it's a fact. She was written out of Star Wars history. By the grace of God, I'm not divorced. I've never been through a divorce. But as with everybody who's never been divorced, I got a lot of friends who have been divorced. I have. That's not a pleasant experience.
Right.
So again, is it cool that George Lucas excommunicated and erased this editor? If you look at her as just an editor, is that cool? No, it's horrific.
Yeah.
Right.
You ever talk to somebody who didn't want to get divorced and their spouse left them?
Yeah.
They're usually pretty broken people.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not defending what George did. It was wrong, but I understand where he was coming from. And, again, it's in the show. If you've seen the show, you've seen it. But listen, I didn't ask her out straight up, do you still love him? That's not the kind of show we make. But, I mean, obviously, there's still a connection.
Oh,
so
yeah.
And she confirmed a lot of rumors. That's one of the biggest compliments we get, and the most frequent is, yes, you had a lot of new information, but you also confirmed a lot of things that have been rumors for 45 years.
Right. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And by the way, I feel bad for him because Marcia gets all the credit, but Howard Kazanjian gives away equal amounts of scoop. And I'll be completely honest with you, I forgot, I didn't even notice that myself. And then a guy who I barely exaggerate when I say makes me look like I've never even heard of Star Wars. He pointed that out to me, and he's like, listen, you have every right to be proud of getting Marcia, and Marcia had mind-boggling nuggets of knowledge, but don't forget Howard, because he dropped some shit that was like mind-blowing. And the thing that is funny, I guess they call it bittersweet, but we got that story first, that Fox was trying to get rid of the end battle. And then, of course, the A+ brilliant Disney Plus ILM documentary. They had magic, that story. Right? They had that story too, but we beat them by 6 weeks.
Woohoo!
But the irony is, nobody has known that story for 45 years, and then we broke it 6 weeks early. But yeah. Anyway,